Happy Black Saturday. Happy November 25th. Happy post-apocalyptic Thanksgiving. Like I said in the notes, the endless stream of leftovers has begun, especially with inflation driving everything up. You better lick those bones clean, lick those plates clean, and lick those little giant metal things that you put the turkey in. Lick those clean because you paid a lot of money for that turkey. So just like the old Indian Native American way, nothing goes to waste. If I could, I'd be wearing turkey feathers to keep me warm, but that's not practical. Uh, so I wasn't going to originally do a show today because it's Black Friday and we've been slammed all day, but it has slowed down just a little bit right around leftover eating time, just enough for me to get in about a 45-minute to an hour show before it will start to pick back up again. And like I said, I'm scheduled to be out here at 10 p.m., but I'm probably going to be here a little bit later because with my industry, I'm not competing with the TVs and the Xboxes and the PlayStations and all the stuff that's half off or whatever today. But the consumer will get around to me in between all that. So it's usually towards the end of the day. So the holiday period on Fridays and Saturdays, I'm going to be here all night. We'll more than likely be doing the overnight show tomorrow night from the store because I don't want to cut away from the store in order to get home and set up. So I'm probably just going to be set up just like this here, and we'll be running all the way through till Sunday morning. But it's just that time of year. It's the time of year where little guys like us pull from the red, if we are in the red, into the black. Tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. So if you have a small business that is in your neighborhood, give them a shot. Go to the big box stores. I mean, I understand that, but at the same time, given everything that a small business has been through the last 3 years, this is the time year where they can really pull themselves through. So tonight's show is brought to you by Paramount, the folks at Paramount Pictures, the makers of a Halo. Season 1 is now on DVD, Blu-ray, UHF, all that stuff. And tomorrow night, during tomorrow night's show, I am going to be doing some contests and stuff. Here's a steelbook. Actually, these are all steelbooks, DVD steelbooks. So it has over 5 hours of special features and has 7 collectible art cards. So these are steelbooks. I got 5 of them that we'll be sending out. By the way, if you guys got stuff that's been coming from us directly, be patient. This is a time of year where we've been just basically been shipping stuff all over the world. We have our online store where people have been purchasing, and we've been sending everything out. So I'm behind in certain things. So like I said, if you have something from me, be patient. It's coming. It's just things have kicked up a little bit. But like I said, tomorrow night we're going to be doing I'll figure out overnight some type of way that we'll be giving these steel boxes away, especially if you enjoyed the show Halo. I actually watched it. I have not finished the first season yet, but I really enjoyed the first 3 or 4. And I'm not a big Halo guy. I played it back in the day, but it's a little bit different now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in the only 2 guests I have for tonight because I like small panels. How you doing, Thade and RJ? What's going on?
What's up?
Hello, what's up?
Hey, not much. Hey, before I get going on anything, I just wanted to, you brought up something in the private chat about the Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle not being at the Indian Con and going stuff like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain to the audience what that's all about because I got a slight opinion about it, but I understand.
Oh, no, I know. So the CCXP, which is a basically Brazilian Comic Con, it's one of the bigger events that goes on, especially in southern part of Southern America, of course, and they're having a big presentation next weekend for Marvel Studios, and also apparently there will be a DC panel of some kind.
It's not just Marvel; it's also Lucasfilm's going to be there too.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't know that. But the thing is with the DC one is that apparently they're marketing like pretty much everything, even like late 2024 films like Joker 2, but not Blue Beetle, which I find to be very odd.
See, I don't because, all right, so I don't think unless you release Blue Beetle in the proper circumstances, this is why I think, like we were talking before, it is more likely, in my opinion, a delay, that there's no amount of advertising you can do to spend. Remember, you have to spend a certain amount to even make it effective. Even the theaters aren't even going to want it in their auditoriums if you haven't spent a certain amount. And at this point, I I don't see a no-name IP. No disrespect to Blue Beetle as a comic character, but we just had, and I've personally experienced trying to market these movies with Black Adam, with Shazam.
Yeah, Black Adam kind of struggled a little bit. So
yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter who the star is at this point. And I think Quentin Tarantino said it right a couple of days ago, especially when it comes to superhero movies. They're not coming to see the stars. They're coming to see the superhero. And in the case of some of these superheroes that DC has been dealing with the last couple of years, nobody knows who they are. And I personally, when Birds of Prey came out, dude, I don't. You can check my feed from a couple of years back. They gave us tons of stuff and spent tons of money on Birds of Prey. They spent tons of money on Suicide Squad. I still even got the fans, the cell phone fans that you stick into your cell phones for some reason. They put those out. But once again, there was no amount of marketing, COVID era or not, that's going to get somebody to commit to obscure characters they don't know.
Can I ask you a question? Because I was thinking about this recently and put in the prior chat. I figured I'd ask you now.
Go ahead.
So this is not like a rumor thing. This was confirmed. Originally, Blue Beetle was going to be an HBO Max movie, just like Batgirl. Batgirl was written off for tax purposes because of that debt, right? So why not, if you're not going to commit to marketing Blue Beetle at CCXP, which is a Brazilian Comic-Con where CCXP is a huge deal for DC. It's been like their marquee, like DC's the marquee brand for that Comic-Con. If you're not even going to present Blue Beetle even a little bit to that audience, and like as you were mentioning, maybe they don't want to market or put a lot of money into marketing, period. Why not just write off Blue Beetle like you wrote off Batgirl and not upgrade it to a theatrical release?
Great question. So dealing with the Batman thing, it just wasn't about a write-off. It was about their vision going forward and the movie not even being that good in their opinion. Everybody who I've heard from that is bought up Batgirl, said it wasn't very good. And if you're going forward to set a standard, you don't put out movies like that if they don't reach your standard. So it was more just about the write-off than it was about it probably just wasn't a very good movie according to any buzz that you've heard around
so
it.
So you think that they actually then that brings another question then. If they think Blue Beetle's a quality movie, why would you not market it? Or here's the other thing too. If you believe it's a good movie and you're not going to spend the money to properly market it for a theatrical release, why not just convert it to a streaming movie?
Okay, because number one, and I think this is a lot of things that people don't realize, being a good movie isn't enough. Sorry. It just isn't.
No, I agree, but wouldn't it have a better chance of getting an audience on streaming?
Not really, because here's the thing: there's a ton of good movies out there that Hollywood is littered with a ton of good movies that just didn't make the connection. You can believe that Blue Beetle is a quality movie, but it doesn't matter how good you market Blue Beetle. You're probably going to make the same amount of money. Here's what you do though, and this is why they didn't just write it off, because I think they probably believe it's a quality product. You just can't put out Blue Beetle yet. If you put out Blue Beetle right now with the attitude and the atmosphere that is currently, even though it's improving, currently around DC films, you're dooming Blue Beetle. So, and two, if you put Blue Beetle out at the proper time within the proper context and around the proper movies, you don't have to drudge up as much ad dollars because the movies you have around it are the biggest promotion that you're ever going to have for Blue Beetle. You could go out and blow a bunch of movies singularly on Blue Beetle, but it's not going to matter if no one's connecting with that IP, especially if it's out there on its own. But if you're talking about releasing it after all these other movies that you're talking about, and amidst the announcements of other movies, and then you put Blue Beetle right in the middle of that, you got a better chance. And that atmosphere is going to do more for you than blowing a bunch of money on a character nobody knows. All right? I don't care who's the star. Give me the highest Latino star that you have out there. It's not going to matter. Yeah. It's not that easy.
My only thing is when it comes to the CCXP thing is that I'm fine with the fact that they don't want to spend any money. That's understandable if they don't want to invest a large marketing budget. But it costs absolutely nothing to throw up a logo at the backdrop while people are walking around that convention center already. You could put the logo on the DC booth, and that's enough exposure. That's all you had to do. They're not even doing that.
I also think they have what's called order of priority. I think they want to shine the light on things that they are prioritizing in the order that they want to. I think this movie is going to get delayed, and I think it's the best thing for it. I think it needs to be.
Oh, I
released.
agree. I hope it
Yeah.
does. If
it's going to be delayed, don't put that up. I think it's going to be delayed by a lot. I think you're going to have another one of these conventions. Be honest with you, we're talking about a calendar year difference, in my opinion, because there's no benefit for them to just put this movie out there. I think you've seen with Shazam. I love Shazam. I really like Shazam. I just watched it the beginning of the night. I like Shazam, but guess what? That's not good enough. Once again, being a good movie sometimes is about 25% of a movie's overall success. Because there's been some pretty awful movies out there that make a ton of money, and then there's some really good movies. I'm going to give you an example. The Accountant with Ben Affleck. That's a great movie, but nobody connected with it. And that has Ben Affleck, an Academy Award-winning, two-time Academy
Award. Didn't it do decent for the budget it was at though?
It not for what you would think it would do given that pedigree. But then again, that's when we were in the thinking of it. Let's just throw that star up there, and just have that pull the thing. Hold on for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on which ones.
Wonder Woman.
Which Wonder Woman?
The Wonder Woman movie one.
Bring it to me real quick, because I got 3 of them. I can't remember which one. Is it the one with the shield?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, bring it over. I'll take a look at it. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle. You guys already know I'm in the middle of a story.
Oh yeah, that's not good,
man. But yeah, I think the strategy is changing. 14. The strategy is changing to where the IP has to be able to carry it now. And Black Adam, like I said, you learned this lesson with Black Adam. The Rock's a huge star, but like Tom Cruise, if Tom Cruise didn't have the history of Top Gun behind him and just him alone, who knows if Maverick's even made. But it's the IP of Top Gun that is going to be what made that push that over the billion. It's the IP of Spider-Man, the IP of Superman.
See, that's where I'll disagree just a little bit though, because just in my opinion, I think the release of Top Gun Maverick was like a perfect storm of spectacle, but also just the perfect release date for Memorial Day weekend. If it had come out any other time, like outside of that specific weekend, I don't know if it would have blown up the way it did. Because that movie was carried by word of mouth. I don't think the name Top Gun is at that much name value. It was more so the perfect storm of spectacle, word of mouth, and just the perfect release date.
For your age group, maybe not, but like I would say Generation Xers. Most of that money was made by Generation Xers, and we're still in that. We're still the majority of the buying median. So it really didn't. If you're like less than 30 years old, Top Gun's not going to mean as much to you. But if you're, born before 1980, Top Gun's huge, and Tom Cruise is immortal. So you want to go see how he's at 60 doing all that. But once again, you still had a bigger brand name than you did with a character in Black Adam and Shazam that aren't even wholly DC characters. They didn't start using those 2 characters until the early 70s. After the whole faucet and 40 years after they existed. So like I said, I say you're just going to blow a lot of money on marketing when the best marketing for a Blue Beetle movie would be another movie that's a top tier character. Fit them in. Like I said, there's a reason why the talking raccoon does as well, with Guardians of the Galaxy. If they were to release Guardians of the Galaxy on its own without any other MCU movies, someone's getting fired. Someone's getting Howard the Duck fired. All right. And those careers are going to be swirling in the toilet for the rest of their lives. But you put that kind of movie out with all the stuff that's out there, that's how you have a hit like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say it also speaks to the fact that sometimes you have to take a risk and a gamble on no-name characters because you just never know what's going to blow up and what's going to be such a success that you turn nobody characters into household names.
That's a lot of risk, though.
It is a lot of risk, but I mean, sometimes you need to do that to grow your brand.
I say, go ahead, right there in the front there. I say with DC, I don't think you need to grow your brand with that type of action. I think you need to reestablish your brand with the hierarchy, with the Trinity, and then you use them. And I hate to use a better term. Let me try it again. Hold on. All right, go ahead. You use the Trinity as fertilizer for things like Blue Beetle. If you're going to grow a garden, you need the right things in it to. It's still messed up. But yeah, you can't have you can't have characters like this, especially when you're DC, because the expectation is what it is. It's not fair. It's not fair that Marvel can come in without any generations of superheroes and be able to pull off, but they had nothing to compare them to either. So it's different. Like I said, I say, all right, go ahead and tap. I say go ahead and just hold off on Blue Beetle until we at least have the Bible established. You know what I mean? And at least we have the Flash. I wouldn't even have any. I wouldn't have any. I wouldn't even announce a date for Blue Beetle until we've announced the dates for at least one of the new guys, Peter Safran and James Gunn, one of their new movies in the pipeline.
Couldn't you argue, though, that they'd rather just get it out of the way because it's not part of their vision, though? To where you've been looking at it in the back room, rear view window a little bit?
Not necessarily.
If he used that argument, it'd be the same thing to say about The Flash.
Well, they've seen these movies and they've seen the pre-production for these movies and possibly have made a decision that somewhere these movies can be salvaged and fit into their Bible. All right, try it again. And that one looks like it's working. Go ahead, guys. You can answer. There you go.
Take the debit card? What the heck?
You guys can go ahead. I've answered. Go ahead, guys. RJ, Thade. Unless I just disappeared.
Sorry, I was eating.
Oh, you.
So also reminding you, send us the Project Ripper stuff, please.
Hold on, guys.
Let me see here. I'm gonna talk to the chat just real quick. Let's see.
Okay. See you guys later. But no, that's like I said, something about these future projects, especially Blue Beetle, that hasn't shot yet. That's a perfect movie for them because they can kind of do, they can take what's there and do what they need it to be for what they have going forward. This is a perfect opportunity for them, in my opinion. But as far as them dumping a bunch of money, any money on Blue Beetle right now, it's hard for me, especially where they're at now, to justify anything on Blue Beetle right now. And, and with this convention coming up, that's, I wouldn't even want it out there. I don't even want Blue Beetle to be any part of the conversation piece. Until
I mean, I guess the way I looked at it was more so, listen, CCXP, that is a DC convention. DC is the biggest thing there. It's not Marvel, surprisingly. It's DC. They're like, those fans there really attach themselves to DC. I mean, they premiered Wonder Woman stuff there, and that was huge, that movie.
But they were a running machine, though. Now we're in a machine where you're pushing a driver out, and a new driver is taking place. It's some of it's.
Oh no, I know. I'm just saying, like, considering that audience and their demographics and who Blue Beetle's meant to appeal to as well, it would just be a missed opportunity if it doesn't get delayed. Yeah. That you don't market it or at least say something about it there.
I'm gonna bet, dude. I'm gonna bet just based on how they had no problems with shifting things forward to fit their means. I'm gonna bet Blue Beetle is going to get delayed, and if it gets
delayed in 2024, it's the best. Then that makes sense. But if it doesn't, then this move doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so. I think because you haven't heard, and plus you're also, it's just you're shifting philosophies too in the way that they're gonna probably advertise things. Like the advertising for Black Adam, be honest with you, you heard me say this over and over again, wasn't good. It wasn't good up until the end.
Which is shocking because that was like their last big blockbuster release of the year as a studio.
Well, you had people who had been handling things that didn't really do the right things as far as the mechanics of advertising to begin with. They prioritized the wrong thing. I'll say this right off the bat, and I'll say it for Shazam, and I'll say it for the Suicide Squad. Those movies should have never been made. All right. Regardless of the fact, take away the fact that I enjoyed some of those movies, all right, including Black Adam. Those movies, if you're thinking strategically and you're thinking business and if you're thinking long game and not just, in a boardroom with the windows blacked out, then you don't release those movies in that order. Those movies get scattered in between the heavy hitters so that they have a chance. All right. When you do things the way Hamada and Sarnoff and Emmerich did things as far as their strategy goes, you do a disservice to all those movies. right? You do a disservice to all the people who worked on those movies because you strategically just toss shit out there instead of strategically placing it where it could get the best exposure, or and spending a lot of money to have these films made when, like I said, you haven't had a Superman on the big screen in 5 years. You haven't had a major superhero. You're producing people in this same universe. So within this same universe, you haven't had a Batman from that universe in how many years? I mean, so you, by not having that ready, why are you released? Why is Black Adam coming out? Why is the Suicide Squad coming out? You're giving me Peacemaker? Great. I mean, it's on HBO, so you can tell me how great the numbers did one way or another. We'll never know. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, that's money you spent on that. And we're 5+ years without having a Superman on the screen. And those are the characters when it comes to DC that shed the light on and give the shot to some of these smaller characters. But instead, they put the smaller characters first, and you see the math there. It's not my opinion at this point. The math is undefeated. All right, It's been undefeated since we knew what math was.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, like, I'm glad that stuff did. Like, I'm glad something like the Suicide Squad did get made though, because had it not, right, James Gunn wouldn't have got his foot in the door of DC, and we wouldn't have the new boss we have right now, right?
Maybe. I mean, but you can't really judge it on those successes because none of those were successes. I mean, I think.
Well, you could argue. I think you could argue that creatively they thought it was a success. Otherwise, why hire the guy, right?
There's a lot more to hire James Gunn and Peter Safran on. I mean, just Peter Safran alone, his resume is. I mean,
no, of course. But I'm saying, like, in terms of James Gunn, had they not made the Suicide Squad and pulled him away from Marvel, who knows what would have happened, right? He could still be like in an executive position of Marvel.
And like I said, you can make that argument because creatively, I liked the Suicide Squad. So yeah, you're right in that sense. But it's like when you're talking about the other movies that were done and things like that were done, Shazam, they ruined the whole Birds of Prey thing by jamming that in that movie. That movie was a mess. All right, and
yeah, creatively that movie didn't hit the mark. It was trying. Like, I don't know what it's like a Harley Quinn movie. It's a Harley Quinn movie that has cameos of the Birds of Prey to set them up as a team, but it just kind of fell flat. And I don't know.
Wasted a Ewan McGregor performance, which I thought was a pretty decent performance, but it was surrounded by just nonsense. Mm-hmm. So, but once again, if you with the structure that you could have put this out, they just didn't do it. What's your thoughts on this, Dave? Are you still eating?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Well, for one, hold on a minute.
That turkey laid down, fool.
Yeah, gotta have those leftovers, man. I understand.
No, it's actually pizza.
He's like, I'm not stopping this.
Anyway, for one, I think that, then this is my personal opinion, DC's been a little bit creatively bankrupt for a while now. And I don't think that James Gunn just got hired as the studio head just off of Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. He has, beyond the superhero thing, beyond Kate movies, he has a pretty good lineup of movies that he's done. He has proof that he can do the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has proof of creative ability. That being said, I like the Suicide Squad movie, but it didn't do very well monetarily. And as for, like William said, the numbers off of Peacemaker, it is what it is. We don't know. We won't ever know. Not really. I mean, we'll know what they tell us, but that's it. As for why they're not mentioning Blue Beetle for CCXP, who knows? Who says they're not? I mean, they talked about the Marvel slate today. That's going to be there on Saturday.
Are either of them going to be there, RJ? That part I didn't know.
I can look that up. Actually, I'm not for sure.
Yeah, because if they're going to be there, then who knows what gets brought up.
I'm looking at the CCXP right now. So give me a second. I'll look at it.
Because I know from Marvel Studios, he said Kevin Feige, Peyton Reed, Paul Rudd, and Evangeline Lilly will be there. and potentially somebody from Guardians of the Galaxy as well, because supposedly they're going to talk about
Well, you know
that.
what? That would kill two birds with one stone right there. And I bet you anything he would be there promoting both, which would be kind of weird but cool at the same time.
Where's the panel list? Their
It might be a
website.
little
I mean, this is
different.
it's also next week too, so it's like Sony Pictures. Oh, Sony Pictures is going to be there. Okay.
Yeah, you kind of sold it out as being a DC show, and it's not just a DC show. It's a Comic Con. So
no, I know, Fade, I know, but what I'm saying is like in terms of like the presentations and like how much money goes into it. The past 2 years when CCXP was running, DC put a lot of money into it, especially for Wonder Woman. Like Wonder Woman has had like major presentations here.
well, yeah,
So,
that's great. I hear you, but it is still a Comic Con.
no, it is. But typically, like DC would be the ones making big announcements here. I'm not saying that can't change.
Or like I said, we're also not dealing with an ordinary DC situation this year, so we might, that might return to form next year. But right now, they could be there, but it's in a flux. I'm going to give them a pass on certain things because, like I said, they're still formulating their plan, and you got to have something to talk about in order to, if you're going to make an impact. If you just show up and sign autographs, and the people are going to want to hear from you. If you're going to either go big or go home, and right now Comic-Con itself, I see being massive for them. I see Comic-Con being them going full out because by that time. You're talking about what's already going to be out and released. And by that time, we're going to know. They will. You give 2 months, they'll give the internal guys their Bible, and I figure if we get it 3 more months after that, we're going to be riding on the rim of going right into that with some huge news. That might be the most anticipated, hyped up thing that DC's done in about 7 years. So, but right now, it's really tough to really. Things are just so many things are. We wake up with different news every day. So I'm if they don't go all out for this one coming up, I can understand it. It would be a bonus, if they did though. It wouldn't hurt, would not hurt at all. Stade, what did you think of Wakanda Forever? Never did get your opinion.
Haven't seen it yet. So just from what I've heard, it's another Black Panther movie. Like the idea of Namor, but no, I haven't seen it yet.
Man, I thought you saw it already. All right, well there you go. Maybe you gotta. I don't know. He's probably gonna wait till Disney Plus. Blue Beetle will be lucky to make half of Black Adam right now. I mean, I don't know if it'll do that bad. Yeah, and Blue Beetle could be the fucking Godfather. Blue Beetle could be Scorsese. It could be Casino. All right. It's not going to matter if you can't get people to care about it leading up to it. So if whatever this movie is, give it a shot. If you care about Blue Beetle doing well and you want it to do well, put it in the good real estate with the other nice neighborhoods. You know what I mean? So to give it a chance to do well, because anticipation breeds more anticipation. Like I said, when you walk out of these movies that are connected, you're sitting there talking with your buddies about what's next, and that's what my motto for this new regime in DC is: we've gone from what now to what's next. And
okay, so looking at the guest list, Dave Filoni is going to be there from Lucasfilm. They're going to be there talking about The Last of Us.
Yeah, I looked it up. There's going to be an Indiana Jones 5 panel, a Mandalorian Season 3 panel, an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania panel, and a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 panel.
All those are coming out like in that neighborhood, though, right?
Sorry, what do you say?
Those are all coming out coming up soon. Right?
Well, Mando Season 3 is in February. Indiana Jones 5 is in June. Guardians is in May, and then
and Last of Us is in January.
Yeah, so it's all still coming out in like the next 4 to 5 months. So,
and we don't
4
know
to 5 months.
June
is a while, dude.
June will be here. June will be. You'll roll over in bed. June will be here. I'm telling you, man.
But like you said
we don't
earlier,
even have a release date. We don't even have a release date for Blue Beetle. So maybe
no, we do actually. It's in August 2023.
Okay, let me rephrase that. We don't have a actual real release date for Blue Beetle. That ain't making that date. That's fine.
We'll see. I mean, if they got to delay it, they'll probably announce something in the next few months. So
Yeah, that's that. That was who established that day? Wasn't that the previous guys?
I don't remember. That was like no, because that like when David Zaslav
They
took
were
over,
on HBO Max then. They were on HBO
yeah,
Max.
it was originally HBO Max, and they said no, we're moving this to be a theatrical movie coming out next year. So,
but that date was put out before they hired these guys to give them a Bible and a blueprint. So,
well, yeah, but that was decided by DeLuca and Abney. They decided to make it a theatrical movie and push it to next year. So,
Okay, so I'm not seeing any evidence of any of the actors or actresses from the Blue Beetle movie at this one. So,
well, yeah, they're having
Jesus Christ. Can I finish what I was going to say, RJ? Twice now. You talked over me, bro.
Okay, sorry.
Let me finish. All right.
Go ahead.
Hold on, gathering my thoughts. Just I hate getting run over sometimes, man. I'm trying to talk here, and he's just plowing right over me. Okay. So it looks like nobody from Blue Beetle is going to be there. I don't see any executives from DC at all. I do, however, see Kevin Feige and some of the people from the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Yeah.
And they're also Pedro Pascal's going to be there, but he's going to be there for two different reasons, probably for The Last of Us and for Mandalorian.
So James, I mean, like I said, this is all. I think this is all going to go down at Comic-Con, to be honest with you. I think anything relevant that needs to be put out that they don't put out themselves in between, as far as where all this falls, I can't really criticize them for not having Blue Beetle forefront in mind right now till we know where Blue Beetle is going to fall and its real release date. That August date's not happening. I can say I'll put a pop of one of these Funko Pops down that August date's not, and that's fine because that date should be consistent on what the new guys are doing. Just because somebody else put out a date, I mean, things change. So I'm cool with that. But what else? Since RJ is the guest, what else is going on that you're looking forward to?
I mean, that's pretty much it for the most part. I mean, the Marvel stuff, obviously, and whatever I mean, there's something supposedly happening with Flash and Aquaman. I'm waiting to hear more about that, though. They're already there, kind of like marking a bunch of stuff out there for DC. So I know they have a booth or something. So
yeah, like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see what the next how you doing, Anthony? The next big event, like the big national event where they can do their TED Talk type of thing, to where it's going to be. I mean, we don't have New York Comic Con until next year, but I think the next major convention, unless they decide to throw their own event to announce their own stuff, would be in June, July. But I would hope, be honest with you, I know they said they're not doing a Bandome, but I think I think we really need to hear from them. And I know he's been interactive on Twitter and every other meeting. That's different than actually having an event type atmosphere where you put out the news. Because I can't get excited off of a Twitter response. I can get excited off of a presentation. Some now, like I said, doesn't have to happen, like I said, next month. It'd be impossible. But as we get closer to the, in between the Flash, like February-ish, March-ish, I would, especially right where I would like to see where Shazam falls into all this, because it's going to be a different piece of the puzzle than the previous regime had. A lot of this stuff, like I said, when it was put into motion and began filming, was part of a different puzzle than we have now. So it's going to be interesting to see where all this stuff falls now that we have new people. None of those people who set these things in motion are even with the company anymore. So the goals have changed. So I'm interested to see what their goals are. I'm interested to see, I know they're not going to give us the whole caboodle, but I want to get a slight idea where they're going, and I'm hoping that they do some type of presentation, some type of, even if it's just on YouTube or a live stream or something like that. I would like to know, because right now I doubt would keep the positive momentum going in the right direction, so that there's no time for a lot of these guys who present information that are not them. From this point out, I don't want to hear anything unless it's from James Gunn or Peter Safran. I just really don't. I mean, all that other stuff is in the peripheral, and that's great. But I'm really not interested in hearing what's going on from DC from anybody but them, because it seems like everybody else, including the trades, are in their own world, or their view of things is not as unobscured as they think it is. And I can't really, I'm not going to chase my tail like I did for 5 years, hearing that the Snyder Cut was coming out the next day, and then 5 years later is when 4 years later is when you get it. And all types of sources ran me the wrong way. But like I said, and once James Gunn tells me, or Peter Safran tells me what direction we're going in, then that's really the only thing that's going to matter, to be honest with you. So
that's probably a good rule of thumb just to go by in general, because it's just like, I mean, listen, we have a timetable for when it's going to be presented internally. It's just a matter of patience.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't have, but
nobody's had, and it's a lot of it's
more than a lot of people haven't had.
Yeah, they want a microwave. They want the microwave instead of the oven baked. And I'm a microwave guy, but you know what? I want a good meal this time. I am willing to give these guys the time, and I'm also willing to let go of some of the things that I want it resolved if I'm getting better shit. If you're giving me an upgrade, if you're giving me something that's going to, like I said, blow my socks off, then I am willing to turn my full attention to the future. And, at some point in time down, my lifetime, if some other storylines get revolved, that's wonderful. But if you're going to, like I said when I posted the other day, if James Gunn were to give me Kingdom Come, man, I get the neck tattoo right here. Alex Ross, do the neck tattoo right here, because Kingdom Come is arguably in the top 5 for me and my life.
I'm looking forward to Kingdom Come if he does it.
Yeah, and in my life, as far as miniseries goes, it's up there with Watchmen. It's up there with Dark Knight. It's up there, with just about any other. It's in a list that I can count on my hands, and that's a way. If he were to do this, and this is how I would do it. I'm YouTube less than YouTube nobody, but here's how I would do it. If you run out the clock with these particular actors and characters, and you wrap it up with a Kingdom Come type storyline, I wouldn't use Shazam in the same way Kingdom Come was used him, because I think this is I don't think this is Shazam is appropriate for that. I would use Black Adam as I would put Black Adam in the same spot that Shazam operated in. And I would enter, what was it, Magog? I know I pronounced it wrong. I don't care. Magog. I wouldn't even have him in the movie because nobody's going to care about it. I would composite those characters, have a composite character that is what Black Adam is, and I would still have him stopping the bomb. But at this point, it wouldn't just be a nuclear bomb. It would be a some type of huge reality shift bomb, and then that's at the end of those characters' runs. So at that point, and at the last scene, after everything has completely been blown up from that Kingdom Come universe, you get introduced to your new characters going forward. That's what I would do. With me, it would be fun. But any loose,
I think Kingdom Come would be like, I don't know, like that's not something for a 10-year plan. It's like a 20-year plan. I don't know if
that wouldn't be a 20-year plan. No.
You could do that in 10. You could do that in 10 years.
You could do the Kingdom Come story in 10 years.
That's Infinity War Endgame kind of thing, man. Easily.
Not necessarily, because remember, Kingdom Come was a complete concept within itself. It didn't with Infinity War, it branched out.
No, what I'm saying is what I meant by Infinity War Endgame is like 10-year time period. There's a decade time period there if you want to do it like that. But I think you could actually do it Elseworld style, like they should be doing. Like they should be doing with DC right now.
They have. It sounds like, from everything I interpret, it sounds like they want to basically have one universe. I may be misinterpreting that, but it sounds to me like they want to consolidate things down to eventually, as these characters, like as the Batman runs its course in its trilogy, there's not going to be another Batman. As certain characters that may be mirrored in other things, as those things run their course, that's it, and then you'll be left with the one prime Batman. That's what I'm thinking.
The question I've been wanting to ask, and this has been on my mind since I heard about it at the start of the week, with Ben Affleck saying that he's wanting to pull back and do his own production company after Aquaman 2. Do you think that shoots down the Snyder thing even more?
No. First of all, who's his boss at this production company?
It's his production company.
Okay, so that's one obstacle out of the way. And what people don't understand, because I've heard several people say that there's this N word, not the one that's called negotiation. It happens every minute of every second in Hollywood. If Ben Affleck wanted to do a project, no one's stopping Ben Affleck from doing a project, period. Nothing is going to stop Ben Affleck from doing a project. You run the show. You decide when the show goes on. You decide when the show goes off. You decide which moves to let. And you know Matt Damon's going to support the hell out of him, one way or another. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying you're ever going to see Ben Affleck as Batman again. Who knows? All I'm saying is if it doesn't happen, it ain't going to be for that reason. That is not even remotely the reason.
Well, I'm not hating. I'm not hating. I'm just curious.
No, and I've had this question asked before. When you run the show, you decide what you're available for. You know, it's not like he has to call his boss and say, "Hey, I need to negotiate with you so I can go negotiate." No, he's the shot caller. If he wants to do it, then there's nothing stopping him from doing it. He has to want to do it, though. I've always said that right now, the biggest, especially now, would be the biggest thing that would be stopping him is if he doesn't have the desire to do it. That's the only thing I see. But if in this production company, there's all kinds of negotiations that would take a weekend at a golf course and a resort to hammer out. And like I said, when you're the boss, there's nothing stopping you,
right.
from doing what you want to. So my opinion is no, I don't think this production company would stop him from doing it if he wants to do it, and that's the key, him wanting to do it. What do you think, RJ?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. I don't know. It's hard to speculate on that because it's stuff that wouldn't be going on for like many years down the road. But I think I'm just going off of what he said about his priorities. To me, it seems like he's kind of expressed a wish to move back to being a director of more personal projects. So it's like he's really about the whole equity in Hollywood thing too, moving outside of the studio system, which is fine. I commend him for that because I think what he's doing with his new production company, Matt Damon's a great thing for the industry. I'm not going to say never. I mean, the only thing I could see, though, I just don't see him being a full-time Batman again. And I think they're going to have to decide for them, do we want our Batman to just be a cameo machine, or do we want like somebody who can be Batman full-time?
I don't think there's going to be a full-time Batman. Be honest with you, no matter who plays him. And something that Max said the other day, and these characters, no matter which direction you go with them, are at the twilight of their pantheon. And that's what makes it cool to have a transition plan into something else. I still want them to do as many movies that are available to them because there's story to be told. But you're at where they're at in their careers and stuff like that. They are probably at the point where it's not going to be a full on, like it was in the beginning. I think they're going to be there if they do get a shot to finish, a story like that. I don't think that these guys, no matter if we see them again, are going to be the long-term future anyway. But what you would need is probably a transition from them to the next. And I think I believe that's what the 10-year plan is. I think the 10-year plan is a credible transition from what we have now, getting as much mileage for them, for all involved out of what is currently there, and then a natural progression into what's next. That way you keep your fan base instead of jolting your fan base like they've done in the past, and that's cost them 5 or 6 years of apathy. If you do a narrative transfer, you're gonna suit yourself, serve yourself a lot better than just pulling the plug and all the lights going out after you perceive everything to be over. I would hope that they've learned from the past 9 years of what they want to do going forward. But I don't think Ben Affleck, regardless of whether he had this company or not, or even if he won, I don't think he's got longest Batman one way or another. You see what I mean? Even if he did his own movie, there's not a bunch of projects that would make him a full-time Batman. All of them are going to be different. Cavill's going to be different, but I don't see, because remember the story, Batman was supposed to get nixed. He was supposed to be ixnaying on the hombre at the end of the original storyline anyway. So but like I said, I think to me it's just determined of what he wants to do. If he gets inspired, actors are a strange breed, Dan. They get inspired in the middle of the night about shit, and they just start writing stuff down and calling other people 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, hey, I got this bug up my ass, and then they go from there. I've heard people say I'm never going to do that, and that no longer fits me, that no longer suits me. I've moved on in my career, and then just to be there to do the shit 2 or 3 times more. So who knows? But in my opinion, I don't think the production company would be what stops him if he just doesn't want to do it anymore. That's which is totally plausible. If he's just a different place in his career, then 100%,
okay, so
do it make you happy.
So my next question would be then: do they just recast him, or do they use? Well, I mean, you couldn't really fit Pattinson in there, is what I'm saying. So do they just recast him for if they do continue with the Snyder idea?
They could do one of two things. They could either, if there's still story to tell with that particular iteration of Batman, they could recast him, and I think they would be fine there as long as you had everybody else there. Or they could do, which I think is more likely, if he did come back, would limit the story around what he has left as Batman. So whatever commitment he wants to give, a short commitment, you draw your story around what you think you can get out of him into that Batman, and then you transition, like I said, with the other characters and do other things. But like I said, there are plenty of actors out there that top tier actors that would take that job and do a great job with it. We've just only known Ben Affleck in this particular iteration of Batman. But I mean, like I said, my pick is always John Hamm. Every time I think of a new Bruce Wayne, John Hamm for me would be perfect for that role.
I could see that. I could see that.
And then nobody would give you any kickback about that. You might have the extremists out there, it's not Ben Affleck. But if Ben Affleck says, hey, I've moved on and we still have story to tell, I can't think of a better guy than multiple Emmy winning guy, just in Top Gun, played an excellent, as the vice admiral, the chief of the operations there. I mean, he's in everything he's in. He's got that square jaw. He's got that look. I mean,
listen, if you have to recast to serve the narrative, I'm fine with that. If that's because I would hate for them just to completely drop Batman as a character completely, because you can't have a DC universe without Batman. You just can't. And unless they're going with Michael Keaton for a little bit until they find a replacement for Ben. I don't know.
Are you trying to make me throw up the turkey?
No. I'm just saying, I don't know. Listen, until the Flash comes out, I don't know.
To me, the idea of ever putting Batman in that version of Batman in any of these movies is something I am never going to ever wrap. I know other people are loving it.
It'd be temporary, though. That's the thing. I don't think it'd be long term. I would hope it's not long term.
It's someone who saw the birth of that Batman on screen, and that was the very first major motion picture Batman I ever saw on screen. I don't have any energy to see him 32 years later. In this context, none at all, not one iota, and that's not a knock against an all-time great actor as Michael Keaton, but I mean, I've moved on from Batman decades ago, and I don't think I'm worried that the previous regime put a lot of relevance into a Batman that most of the audience never even regarded. If you were born June 15th, 1989, you were what, 32, 33 now? All right. You've grown up with, that Batman's not relevant to you. Even if you went back and watched it in the past, you have other Batman, you have the Nolan Batman. I mean, I don't know just how relevant that Batman is. Now, everybody of my age, that's my childhood. But once again, my childhood don't pay the rent. Nostalgia is like a hand grenade. You better throw it in those seconds that you have. If you hold it in your hand too long, stare at it and marvel at it, it's going to blow you up. So I'm hoping that they're going to be careful. But it also sounds like the new regime has a different plan for all that anyway. So with the Keaton thing, because it keeps changing. So who knows? It's just a matter of what's next. So all right, guys, this was just a quickie tonight. I wasn't planning on going on simply because it's Black Friday. I'm really tired, but I did not want to go tonight without something going on, because I know a lot of people are skipping tonight. But plus I wasn't going to do it later on tonight because I'm going to be here. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I'm gonna
busy
go
has it
around the
been, by the
table.
way? I'm just curious.
That's been pretty. It was for the. I opened up at 11, and from 11 to 3, it was pretty busy. And then the rest of the days, we've been filling online orders. The majority of the business today has been the online orders because I mailed out a coupon that you could scan, and it would give you a certain percentage off for those first 4 hours. And then the rest of the day has just been answering questions and then people asking about shipping prices and stuff like that. So
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, tomorrow is the bigger of the 2 days for us. It's going to be Small Business Friday and like a Small Business Saturday, and there are a lot of incentives that the credit card companies like American Express completely sponsors it. They give you incentives to shop at small proprietors and sole proprietors like us tomorrow. So
That's cool.
we got those built in, and I got another email. Plus, we're giving away tickets to in fact, the people who came in and bought stuff while I was on the air we're giving away tickets to serve Violent Night. For the new Santa Claus slasher type movie
Yeah,
or whatever the
Universal's
hell it
been
is.
doing a lot of giveaways for that movie. I thought it was interesting. Like they're doing a lot of promotion for that.
Yeah, let me show you what I got. You're gonna find this hilarious. So
Please be a Santa knife. Please be a Santa knife.
no
That'd be amazing.
knives. No knives. You can look on my on my social media to see the poster that's too big to bring over here. But we got the type of mugs that you get, and then you pour them in, and it actually says Violent Night on it with the blood splattered.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a blood splattered Santa Claus hat, which I'm keeping for myself because I've already given them. You can kind of see the blood if you're looking in there. So, and then it has
That's
a logo
cool.
right there. And then you, what else? Oh, it's hilarious. I thought these were broken when I got them in. They're not. They are decapitated gingerbread man cookies, and they're actually edible cookies. So
Wow.
that's the kind of stuff I got today. So, and then like I said, we've been having giveaways, all the promotional stuff that we had left over. We just been giving away to people.
Okay, we got a few questions in the chat there, William. If you want to just real quick scroll through the chat.
Where am I at?
Well, okay, back up. Michelle said some stuff, mentioned that she had seen Wakanda Forever with her husband.
Okay.
Said it was okay. See, rolling down from there. There's a lot of talking between people. See, coming down.
I still was talking to a couple of people. I see.
Yep. Brian asked thoughts on the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. To answer your question, Brian, I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm watching it right after this. I'll be watching it.
I watched it. I've already seen it twice.
I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Oh, it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch it tonight sometime too. So, see,
starting that shit.
What?
This madness.
What madness?
Turkey pick from last year?
Oh God, no!
Dark Crisis. Yeah.
Oh no!
I who unfriended people from that over that stuff. People who blocked each other.
It was a massacre. It was a Thanksgiving massacre. It was horrible.
It was embarrassing. Okay. All right. So Alabaster, as for what I'm looking forward to, there's a new Godzilla movie made by Toho that's going to be set in World War II in the new Gamma Netflix anime series. I'm looking forward to the Godzilla thing. I'm hoping that it gets American distribution. If it does, it's going to go through the company that I work through, which is great because last time we promoted Godzilla vs. Kong, it was a lot of fun. We took up this whole parking lot and did a drive-in. It was neat. So
okay, the next real question we've got is from Chappie. He says, "Do you guys think that we get a sequel to Black Adam despite it not doing well at the box office?"
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. I think that the character, because like I said, they're not going to judge that. You know, the people who are making the forward decisions aren't going to use any data that they got that coming out of this movie as anything that pertains to them. I do think that the character is relevant enough. It needs a better story. I think a better director, but I also think it needs to be a better fit for what is going on to give it a chance to breathe. And I think that if I'm thinking that now, Zapron and our Gunn and all these other guys are way the fuck smarter than me. So, and if I can point out the improvements that they could really do well with this, especially if they decide to go, towards a big ending to all these characters, he's right there with him. Dwayne, he's not going to be playing Black Adam until he's 60, even though he looks great. But I think all these characters are going towards some type of Twilight, and I think he could be very much a part of it. So I think that when they did the autopsy for the box office and everything for Black Adam, there's about 20. It probably took them 20 seconds to realize that this autopsy is not relevant to us because we wouldn't have handled things this way. So I think definitely you'll see a sequel. So,
now somebody mentioned that when you mentioned John Hamm, somebody had mentioned Jensen Ackles, and the only thing that I will say about Jensen Ackles being Batman, he has voice acted as Batman and done pretty well. However, he would be too young to replace the version of Batman that Ben Affleck is playing.
Yeah,
unless they aged him up. He's about a decade too young. Chappie, question. Do you think that Green Lantern or Green Lantern Corps is on the 10-year plan for DCEU? Yes, probably.
Oh, most definitely.
Most definitely. Let's see. Next thing that says Rational Skeptic asks William, Hamada promised Zolo, Mariduena, Blue Beetle, and Sasha Calle, Supergirl, that they will play important roles in the DCE going forward, but now that Gunn is in charge, what do you think happens?
It could still happen, but it's not guaranteed because James Gunn is not beholden to promises that an outgoing head made. I think he will. I think they will both. Him and Safran will do the best to salvage all of this, but I think that there may have been significant changes to the direction of where they were going, and unfairly or unfairly, it may not include that. The significance of their roles may decrease. They could increase. We don't know, but I just like I can't hold them accountable for the previous mistakes. I can't hold them accountable for someone else's promises. I hope it turns out that way though, because I think from what I've seen, she looks like a pretty hot Supergirl. I think she could have a long career in that role, and just same thing with everybody else. But once again, it's unfortunate that there's been a shift in philosophy, maybe. But who knows? He could come in and say, you know what? I like you as Supergirl, but we're going to make some changes here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Who knows? He could increase their relevance.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. At this point.
And Fourth says David Boreanaz would be a great replacement for Affleck, and I agree.
You guys brought this name up before, and I couldn't remember who he was. Who is he?
He played Angel in the Buffy.
Yeah.
show.
Okay. Yeah. I could see that. To me, like I said, there's probably 4 or 5 people that I'm missing. And then there's probably about 100 people that I've never heard of that could probably do this role. The production guy could look at them and say, "Hey, you could do this." But it just, to me, it's not fan casting because I've already seen the type of Batman that they would be looking for, and that's why John Hamm I can't get his.
And to go off of what he said about David Boreanaz, actually, I do agree. He has the personality for it, but he also. All he'd have to do is take the brooding that he played as Angel and just kind of be a more adult about it instead of a teenager.
and that's if they want to write it that way, because like I said, there's not a lot of brooding with Ben Affleck Batman. There's a lot of reflection and regret, but then that's
what I meant. Not brooding, but reflection and regret.
Yeah, because remember, his arc was supposed to change his character towards the end too. So, all right, do we got any more major questions before I get back to?
Okay, Fourth. What do you mean by is Boreanaz problematic? No, I don't think he's problematic. I mean, everything that's been a problem with him in his past as a person was years ago and already been done through. So no, I don't think he'd be problematic as Batman. I actually like that idea, Fourth.
I just pulled this up because I remember this. Oh my God, I'm old. We're talking. Oh my God. Like a 40-year-old storyline. My goodness. I need to stop looking at the chat. Every time I look at the chat,
I do remember that.
1,000 years old. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for stopping and gobbling down the leftovers and eggnog. Oh, eggnog constipation.
I'm having a bottle of eggnog right now, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, that stuff will make you shit rockets.
You're probably right there.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Like I said, this was an impromptu stream. And that's about it. I don't think I'll see you later on tonight because I'm going to be here, but I definitely will see you tomorrow night. We'll do the Halo giveaway. We'll do some other stuff. We'll talk long form about some of the stuff that we brought up today, and just have a general open mic. Relax. Got some wrestling to talk about. I'll talk with you offline, RJ, about Wrestle Kingdom. I got Will Ospreay going up against Kenny Omega. I was already going to watch Wrestle Kingdom no matter what.
When's Wrestle Kingdom happening?
At every January 4th.
Oh, okay.
January
So next
4th.
year. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.